Hello, welcome to our podcast. Today we're talking about museum education. My name is Ruth Rugg. I'm with the Texas Association of Museums, and I've been traveling with my colleagues from the Texas Historical Commission to present workshops throughout the state. Our topic in this last series is museum education. It's part of the Training for Texas Museums initiative, which is generously funded by IMLS, the Institute for Museum and Library Services. We're really grateful to have this grant because it allows us to bring in some of the best experts in their field from across the nation. In fact, our presenter for the Museum Education Series is from Morristown, New Jersey. Her name is Claudia Ocello. She is President and CEO of Museum Partners Consulting, and we're very happy to have you here, Claudia. We agreed to do a little recording to sort of hit the high points of the workshop for those who missed it. So I'm going to ask you some questions about some things that we talked about.
Okay.
And one of the challenges that many museums face is how do you avoid the encyclopedic tour where you go around and just say this is this and this is that and it happened at this time and this person made it. Surely there's a more creative approach.
Well, I think there is, and that is a common sort of issue with historic house museums, but with a lot of different kinds of museums, even art museums. So I suggest that you focus your tour on a big idea that the objects exemplify. So you can then explain to your guests that this is going to be a little different type of tour. It's going to be focused on a particular topic, and you're probably only going to see a few things in the museum, but then they can explore the rest of the site on their own.
And even if you just point out a few, it helps to get across the story.
It can if you do it in a way that involves your audience.
Well, so how did you come to make that discovery?
Well, I think one of the way that works best for me is I walk around the space that I'm going to be doing the tour in, whether it's one exhibition or the entire museum or the historic house, and I try to make a list of ideas, big ideas that the site embodies, or the gallery exhibit embodies. A big idea could be something like frontier or daily life or immigration, really broad. And then I try to pick a few objects that could help tell that story, that would support that big idea, and that have really good stories inherent in them. And that's kind of the basis of how it would work.
All right, well, I'm with you so far,
Okay.
but once you pick the objects, how do you get that big idea across?
Well, you want to practice with an object?
Sure.
Try it? Okay.
Let's give it a try.
So let's say this was something that was in my museum, and actually, I also think it's important if you could have some objects that people could touch, because some people learn by touching things. So this one you actually can touch. It's not a museum object.
Touch this, then.
Okay.
Oh yeah, different textures,
So,
different depth.
Yeah, I was going to ask you, what do you notice about this?
Well, I noticed that it's leather down on the foot part, but up here it's denim, and the denim has these indentations with what looks like a copper metallic paint almost, except they're kind of indented.
Okay. What more can you say about what you're looking at?
I'm pretty sure I couldn't get my foot in it.
No? So what might that suggest about the person that owns it?
Has a smaller foot and maybe is a smaller person.
Okay.
The heel is not too high.
Okay.
And it's not terribly scuffed on the bottom, so maybe they're new.
Ah, so they could be new. Okay. So we've established that it's worn by a person who's of smaller stature because of the size of it. So then what else could you say about the person based on what you're seeing?
Well, this person has great taste because these are terrific boots. Look at all the different colors that are involved, the sort of decorative effect down here. I don't think these are working boots because it's just too pretty. I think this may be someone who has a sense of fun and flair.
And would that be, do you think they belong to a man or a woman? Can you tell the gender from this?
Well, Well, it's hard to say because they're all styled sort of similarly, but I would guess this was a woman's boot, just because of the sort of decorative element up there that looks like maybe more than what a man would choose.
Okay. And so given that it's a boot and it's decorative and it belonged to a woman who was of smaller stature, what else? Maybe you could tell where they lived or what they did for a living, or is there any way you can kind of guess at their occupation or where they came from? Or
well, you may have to give me a clue about that because I'm not sure if they're boots that you might wear out to a hoedown or a honky-tonk, then they may not be working boots.
That's right. Okay. I can see why you would say that. So they're probably not, and they're not boots that somebody would wear in like bad weather, like snow or ice or anything like that.
No, it's not like galoshes.
So you could guess that the person didn't live someplace that didn't have this kind of weather, the bad weather.
That might be a good guess.
Okay. So you can kind of begin to get in your head a picture, a visual about this person, right? And there's the story behind them, maybe a little bit about their background.
Maybe.
Right?
Maybe.
And you know, what's interesting is I didn't give you any information, right?
No, you didn't. You just asked me questions. You said, what do I see and what might I think?
Right. And you were able to figure out quite a bit just from looking.
You're right.
Yeah.
So that's how it works with an object in a museum.
Yes, that's how it can work, and I think that really makes, if you get your audience involved, they'll be more apt to stay with you and want to learn more and maybe ask you a bunch of questions, and then you can get in a lot more of that information that you want to get across about the people that lived in the house or the story behind the painting or whatever it is that you're using as the object. It works just as well with objects as it does with documents or paintings or artwork or anything like that.
Well, and you know what else? It really wasn't very hard. It was really like a conversation and thinking a little bit about what you're seeing.
The hardest thing for the educator that's doing this type of tour or program is that you kind of don't know what's gonna happen. So you have to be willing to take a risk and to let go a little bit and to really, you know, be ready for anything and be flexible.
And follow your audience.
And follow your audience.
Well, I like that. Well, for other tips, stay tuned and you'll hear more from Claudia. Thank you.
Thank you.